All right. It looks like we're on. What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to another live session. It's Mike here with HighIntensityHealth.com. Super excited that you were here today. Let's talk about exercise and autophagy. And there's a lot of questions, concerns about this. I think a lot of people realize that, if you exercise, you increase the autophagy inhibitor. It's a molecule called mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin. This is like the brake pedal on autophagy. And what you need to realize is that for the adaptations to occur in the post-exercise window, what happens is actually the body relies upon on a cellular level, mostly in the muscle tissue, to upregulate autophagy. So I just wanted to share with you, in this live session, just a few insights, a few nuggets, some things that I've learned over years of studying this topic, and help you understand that exercise is your friend when it comes to enhancing autophagy. And then we'll get into specific exercises that might help you enhance autophagy and specific feeding and fasting patterns that I would suggest and I personally implement in my life to get the most out of both my exercise, keeping autophagy in mind. So if that information is something that you feel like you might like, and if at any point during this video you hit that like button, if at any point you like the information, hit that like button. Definitely subscribe so you get updated when we launch new videos. I don't know why I'm having a hard time talking. So we got a few of you on here. What's happening here? Chris just wrote an awesome comment. He says, I'm watching this from the treadmill. Heck yeah, Chris, I love that. So Chris, here's a little pro tip, and we can just dive right in. So the intensity of your exercise is going to matter, because check it out. When you cause damage to your myocytes and different elements of your muscle tissue while you're exercising, the way that your body recovers from that is by upregulating the process of autophagy. But it's not just macroautophagy, it's mitoautophagy. So for example, the mitochondria, which are an organelle within your cell, that basically create cellular energy. And in the How Do You Burn Fat series, we talked all about the mitochondria. Remember, what autophagy is doing in states of low energy states is breaking down aggregated proteins, dysfunctional or aberrant organelles, and other biomolecules. For example, lipophagy, the breakdown of fat; glycophagy, the breakdown of muscle glycogen or liver glycogen. So autophagy is this intracellular phenomenon. This is a big point I like to share in all my courses that we teach. A lot of you know at courses.highintensityhealth.com, we have the flexible OMAD course, the autophagy enhancer class. We have a whole bunch of different things. A lot of people on the internet get autophagy wrong. What they say is autophagy is cells degrading other cells. That's not at all what it is. Autophagy is this intracellular cleanup process. I'm going to say that one more time because I want it to sink in. I'm not going to say I'm going to get mad, but I'm going to get annoyed if I keep hearing this. And these are people that have influence that are saying this. Autophagy is not degrading other cells. It's intracellular, and that's why you can't measure autophagy readily. It's going on within your cells. It's going on within your neurons. It's going on within your muscle tissue. It's going on in your liver when you're fasting, your pancreas, your lungs, your immune system cells, your GI tract. So friends, we have Ken here. Ken Johnson is saying that he's on his third day of fasting. Hello from Florida. We have A Lemon here, says just finished a 3-day fast, and A Lemon says they were deadlifting and felt dead afterwards. So I'm working on a brand new course about fasting physiology, and want to let you know that the longer you go in your fast, the crappier your workouts become. I know in Tim Ferriss's book, Tools of Titans, he talked about Dom D'Agostino, how he fasted for 7 days and had a PR on deadlift. I highly doubt that. Nothing against Dom, but what tends to happen is as we fast, our mitochondria become more uncoupled in our muscle tissue. And Ben Bickman has talked a lot about mitochondrial uncoupling. If you want to go back to the interviews we've talked about with Ben, you need to understand that. But long story short, you're not going to get the best workout in a prolonged fasted state. In the 16 to 18 hour mark, I think you can still get a pretty good workout, but anything over that, it's going to be hard. Anyway, you're not late, believe 3. What's up, guys? Really, really appreciate you being here. If you like this content, hit that like button. So let's just get into it. So look, if you're watching this, replay after the fact, okay? The title of this video is something like the best exercises for enhancing autophagy and exercise. What's the big concern? What's the big problem here? The problem is people know that when you exercise, you increase mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin. This is an intracellular signaling cascade that stimulates protein synthesis. Okay, it's great. We want to stimulate protein synthesis after we exercise and break down our muscle. So people are concerned that if they do weight training, They're going to activate mTOR, so that's going to put the brakes on autophagy. And let me just tell you right now, that's not really like, yes, exercise increases mTOR, not just weight training. There's studies showing, and I just highlighted this in our Autophagy Enhancer Masterclass. If you guys want, I'll share that with you later. There's many studies showing that endurance exercise also increases mTOR in the post-exercise window. And you might think, wow, that's kind of crazy. How does that work? What's going on? What do we, what I need you to understand here is much of the early data about autophagy and mTOR and exercise and skeletal muscle and all that was done in animal models. And animals, as you know, are not humans. We're different. We're not rats. And so what the studies actually show is the mechanistic and the targets, intracellular kinases, these enzymes, AMPK and mTOR, which are antagonistic and so forth, are different in the post-exercise window in humans versus mice. And so the point is you don't need to be scared. Yes, exercise stimulates mTOR, but exercise also drives autophagy through a bunch of different ubiquitin, proteome, proteolytic pathways, through mitophagy, through macroautophagy. There's other catabolic type pathways where autophagy, and I hope we're still on here. I just got a little buzz. Okay, we're good here. So that's what you need to understand. Exercise enhances autophagy. Don't be scared about the transient increase in mTOR in the post-exercise window. Okay, so now what exercises should you be doing and in what order to maximize both muscle tissue health and autophagy? Now, here's where it gets a little complicated and everyone's a little bit different. Definitely check out the interview I did with Brett Contreras. He's the author of The Glute Lab. I recently posted it. It's now in iTunes. It's also on our YouTube channel. I'll go back and at 6:52, I'll link that video here. Very important stuff because in his book, The Glute Lab, he talks a lot about exercise programming. I'm not here to program your exercise necessarily, but what I want you to understand is the best exercises for you are the ones that get you a little bit sore, okay? So that sore feeling, or the so-called delayed onset muscle soreness, that's the intensity and the types of exercises and the novelty of your exercise periodization and training program that's going to keep autophagy upregulated. Because as we get more anabolic and we start training a lot, our sensitivity goes down to these anabolic agents, and probably our sensitivity to autophagy goes down as well. So we need to understand that we need to constantly be challenging ourselves with whatever exercise program that is. If that's CrossFit, great. Try new splits, as many reps as you can, every minute on the minute, OMOMs. I mean, there's all these different programs you can do for CrossFit. If you're doing bodybuilding, hypertrophy, powerlifting type stuff, switch it up. So the variation in your program, every couple, 2 or 3 workouts, you don't want to vary it every single week. You want to give some time to adapt and some time to kind of train those musculoskeletal systems. But what's going to happen is in the post-exercise recovery window, that's where autophagy is going to be upregulated. So let me just shorten the conversation a little bit even further. Many studies in mostly humans, mostly women actually, have shown that there's an upregulation in autophagy biomarkers and autophagy processes in the post-workout window for individuals that are doing training. So let me just, anyway, I think it's super fascinating. Just want to, someone is here saying, what's up? They're so sore, all these different things. So let me just, I'm just going to check in. I like to see, we're doing a quick pause here, quick taco timeout. Just want to see, we got quite a few of you on here, which is great. The lighting's a little orange in this room, but at least we got it right, man. Is the camera focusing on me finally? We've had so many of these lives where something's messed up. And do want to let you know that these lives are brought to you by Ned CBD. I love this CBD, guys. I use this pretty much every single night to go to bed. I'm going on a hunting trip this Friday. I'm going to bring this with me. It's grown on the western slope of Colorado. They use cold ethanol extraction, so there's no benzene, toluene, residual solvents, and they're only using the hemp flowers. So there's different bioactive elements in CBD products and so forth. A lot of companies are getting CBD from China, and they're using hexane and toluene and all these other agents, and that's why I like Ned. They're using really clean ingredients. And as a listener, you can save on your next order. Just go to helloned.com/HIH15 to save, and I'll go back and update this in the deal. But just wanted to let you know that they are a partner, and I've been using the product independent of that potential partnership for a while. I really like this product, and what's cool about CBD is it doesn't monkey with your sleep architecture. So getting back to the autophagy and exercise, what we kind of talked about up to now, just to very quickly summarize for some new listeners coming on, is exercise soreness. Again, because we can't measure autophagy like we can measure glucose. It's happening in the cell, intracellular. Autophagy is not degrading cells. It's what's going on within the cellular component and the cellular architecture. And what you need to understand here, friends, is it's hard to measure. And so one subjective way to kind of figure out if you're doing the right exercises to enhance autophagy is if you're a little bit sore in the post-exercise window, in the 1 to 2 days after you exercise. And if you are, you probably caused some good adaptation, some beneficial stress during those exercises, and therefore autophagy was upregulated or needs to be upregulated to add in what's called new construction. So this is what some scientists talk about in the autophagy exercise science literature. It's like tearing down the old to rebuild the new. And in that process of tearing down the old muscle that you're trying to cause to be bigger and faster and stronger, that process of tear down is autophagy mediated, okay? So how can you, earlier we'll talk about your fasting and feeding patterns. What can you do prior to your exercise regime so as to maximize this process? Well, we know that by depleting glycogen, by making this metabolic switch away from glucose oxidation to fatty acid oxidation and ketone synthesis, that switch is synergistic or characterized by, guess what? By autophagy and some of these metabolic switches. So what I suggest to all my clients, and I might sound like a broken record talking to you about this right now, is first thing in the morning, get outside and do a walk. Go do a little hike. Walk your kid to school, walk your dog, do something. Get your heart rate up, right? So we're going to deplete glycogen. That's going to cause, even if you break your fast within a few hours after doing that small brisk cardio session, that's going to help to upregulate the fasting processes and trigger kind of a selective version of autophagy called glycophagy, which is very specific for how glycogen is broken down. Remember, autophagy is not just one thing. There's like 26 different subtypes of autophagy that are very selective and tissue specific. But when we exercise in a fasted state, we upregulate those tissue specific autophagy mechanisms like lipophagy, which is the breakdown of intracellular fat, and glycophagy, the breakdown of intracellular glycogen, which is stored glucose. So when we exercise or we move our muscles in a low state, guess what we're doing? We're kickstarting this very specific autophagy process. Now, if we exercise to the point where it's a little painful, or it kind of hurts, we're building up lactic acid, we're causing a little bit of damage on a kind of a biochemical level in terms of these ions of the lactate ion and all that. Guess what we're doing in the post-exercise window? There will need to be some repair intracellular. And that's where exercise is going to have that compensatory increase in autophagy. So again, I can't really prescribe and say if you squat 3 days a week, or if you squat at 2 days a week, or if you do hip thrusts, or you do deadlifts, or you do bench press, I can't tell you exactly what exercise is going to maximize autophagy. But I will tell you that compound full, major movements, not just moving the muscle, movements, a squat, a deadlift, a clean, not isolated movements, multi-joint movements where you're moving your hips and your knees, like as hinging from the hips, whether that's, that could be, hip thrusts, that could be, reverse hypers, that could be squatting, deadlifting, sumo deadlifting. I mean, there's a million ways to hinge from the hip, to squat, a pull-up, for example, you're moving your elbows and your joint when you're bench pressing and all that. So basically what you want to get is multiple muscle and joints involved during your exercises, and that's going to give you the highest probability to enhance autophagy. And if you're worried about breaking down too much, what some studies have shown is that if you lift weights or you lift weights and do cardio, you actually get, and this is going to sound crazy too, I've been diving into some of this research, it's not totally fleshed out in my head, so this is the first time I'm presenting it. But if you lift weights and do cardio at the same time versus only lift weights, the hypertrophy response in the group that does the cardio, the so-called concurrent training, actually gets a better hypertrophy response. Let me say that again. Doing cardio plus lifting weights helps your muscles get bigger. And It's fascinating stuff. Again, this goes against common wisdom where people would say, hey, you got to split up your resistance training from your cardio. But there is some studies in humans showing that this so-called concurrent exercise programs rather, can maximize hypertrophy. And, well, what does that look like? Does that mean that you do your cardio before you lift your weights, or you do lift weights and then do cardio? Well, some of the studies say that it might be in a few hour post-exercise window. So maybe spread them out by like 4 hours or something along those lines. But anyway, I think that's pretty fascinating. So that might help you. So if you could do cardio on the same day that you lift your weights, maybe spread them out a little bit, that will give you a even higher probability that you will enhance autophagy. Wow, BarryVoice.com just donated $24. Barry, thank you for that. Barry'sVoice.com. I would love for you, Barry's Voice, to type in something in the comment bar. Thank you for contributing to this live feed. That means a lot. Really, really appreciate that. Barry must be following us over on Instagram because we did process Tom the Turkey. And Tom the Turkey, I did share a little Instagram post, and just to put it into perspective, about how, if we eat meat, like, we're killing animals, right? And we need to take ownership of that, and sometimes get our hands dirty and do it ourselves. So anyway, really, really appreciate that. Brian is saying he likes kettlebell swings, which is awesome. I like kettlebell swings as well. Just with Brian on the kettlebell swings, one thing that a lot of people, I see the mistake they make at the gym is they're getting too much of their shoulders involved and they're not driving from the hip. So a lot of people, and I think that's how they teach it in CrossFit, because I've seen that a lot of CrossFitters do this. And so basically they're not really doing much of a hip hinge and much glute, kind of thrusting the glutes. They're just swinging a lot, using a lot of anterior delt. So my trainer, Dan Stephenson, over at Ideal Strength on Instagram, one thing that he's told me is don't even try to lift the kettlebell swing up, perpendicular to the floor. Just kind of really try to pivot from the ground. Chris has a question. He says, would you recommend a snack between cardio and weight training? Yeah, Chris, I totally would. So if you're doing cardio in the morning and then lifting in the afternoon, or vice versa, I would definitely say eat in between. I'm a big fan, and a lot of you know this by now, I'm a big fan of doing my resistance training workouts in a fed state. I don't mean having a major meal and then going to the gym right away, but I always find that I have a better workout if I've had a little bit of something to eat, beforehand. And now, of course, it depends on the exercise. Like if I'm going to do arms, which I do sometimes, just hit arms and shoulders, something real easy, I don't need a meal. I don't need anything before that. But if I'm a squat or deadlift or try to attempt to do a good back workout with T-bar rows and dumbbell rows and pull-ups and cable rows and, shrugs and carries and all this, I'm going to have some food in me because I'm going to have a better workout. Like I could do it fasted. I could do it in a low state, but I'm going to hit fatigue faster. That's just me. Now, some people say, oh, I have my best workouts fasted. It's like, all right, well, okay, that's cool. But what are you doing for your workouts? Like, I don't know. But that's just me personally. So Brian says squatting, lunges. Yeah, I did a bunch of lunges this morning, Bulgarian split squats. Believe 3.0 says, how many days should you be sore? There's some speculation or controversy over delayed onset muscle soreness, what's ideal. And here's why there's controversy, because a lot of new research is showing, spreading the fatigue out. So instead of squatting 1 day a week, squatting 3 days a week, we're doing deadlifts 3 days a week, we're doing back exercises, hitting, not doing the same exercise, reps, periods and all that, rest periods and everything, but changing the intensity, the duration, the rep set schemes. And so spreading that fatigue out. So you don't want to be sore every time, right? But when you do a major workout, Chris, thanks for being here, man. You guys are awesome. When you do what I suggest is on your major days. So I like to have one heavy day of every body part. So it's on 3 days a week. So I have a lower body heavy day where it's I'm going to hit it hard. I'm going to go to failure. I'm going to hit the weights. And then I have another lower body leg day that's a little bit higher in the reps. And then I even sometimes throw in a third, very glute specific, where it's like quadruped based things I learned in Brett Contreras' book. And it's a little bit different, right? So that's what I personally do. And then I'll have a real heavy chest day with some shoulders. Then I'll have a light shoulder day that's more for the pump. Then I have a really heavy back day. So that's just kind of what I do. And so I want to be sore, like not so sore that I couldn't move, but I want to know that I did something, right? So that's just what I suggest. Gabrielle says, how deep into the fast is best for fat oxidation? So yeah, I guess, it depends. This is a great question, Gabrielle, because it really depends on the person. It depends how physically fit you are. The more physically, check this out, the more fit you are, I get fired up on this stuff. The more fit you are, the more you're going to get out of your fast. Let me say that again. The more metabolically flexible and physically fit you are, the more you exercise on a regular basis, the more bang for your buck you will get for your fast. And what do I mean by that? That means that the level of autophagy, the delta from 0 autophagy to 100% or more, it's like if you're sedentary, you're going to have to fast for longer to get the same achievements from a metabolic autophagy standpoint compared to individuals who are physically fit. So if that doesn't motivate you to get off your ass and get to the gym, man, I don't know what will. Rodrigo, my thumb was shaking while typing my phone after treadmill yesterday. Dude, yeah, maybe you were fasted. I don't really know. I mean, I don't think getting to the point where you're totally shaking is ideal, but who knows? Believe 3.0, you're active here, saying being sore is good. So yeah, we have a lot of, all right, great question came in here. What about berberine plus fasting and working out? So full disclosure, I sell berberine. We have a supplement company called Myoscience. I have a product that's, a clean berberine product with alpha lipoic acid. I don't recommend it before exercise. It's not needed. You're going to get the most bang for your buck, just like, if you're doing cardio in a fasted state, if you're doing resistance training, maybe a little protein, a small amount of carbs, if you're able to tolerate carbs and where you are in your metabolic flexibility enhancement protocol. I recommend berberine to kickstart a fast. That's what I recommend it for. Because why? And let me just give you my FDA disclaimer. We're not talking about curing, treating, preventing any disease. We're just talking about my anecdotal experience working with clients. When you take berberine before starting a fast, what it does is it really kind of pivots you into ketosis much quicker. And so I think that's part of the benefit. You don't want to take berberine pre-workout. Again, I sell berberine. I could probably sell a ton more berberine, at least short term, by saying, take this before you're working out. But I don't recommend doing that. I recommend intra-workout whey protein. I recommend intra-workout branched chain amino acids, not taking berberine before working out. Again, you want to take this in the evening time if you're susceptible to having high post-meal glucose levels. You also want to take it to kickstart a fast. Does that make sense? That's the clinical application of berberine. Small plug, we do have an autophagy enhancer bundle with essential fatty acids and berberine together. Why the essential fatty acids? Because autophagy is this intracellular phenomenon where you're constantly forming this little, what's called an autophagosome. It's a little cell within your cell. It's a little bag of junk, right? It's a garbage bag, what autophagy really is, as it, kind of the autophagosome binds with the lysosome to create this autolysosome, this little bag within your cell. If you're constantly making these little cell membranes, we know that membrane fluidity, phosphatidylcholine, eggs and organ meats, all these things become very essential if you're trying to upregulate this process. And essential fatty acids, omega-3s, are very important as well. So, so hopefully that helps. What else we got? What's up from Connecticut? Dr. Newland here from Chattanooga. What is up from Chattanooga? Thanks for being here, Dr. Newland. Mike Farrell says fasting and intense weight training don't mix, obviously. I know, it's crazy, man. But a lot of people have this perception that like when they fast, they should fast for 3 days and then do a super hard weight training workout. And it's like, I've tried that. You might have a good couple first sets, but as you start to really deplete your glycogen, you're just going to get weaker and weaker. And I'm a huge fan of exercise. So, anyway, friends, just wanted to kind of hop on here and, I like to do these either on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. So, if you like these live, type formats, definitely subscribe, hit that like button, and want to thank all you all for hitting up the super chat and contributing there. Definitely check out our show sponsor, helloned.com/HIH15. Honestly, man, CBD is huge because it can enhance your sleep without monkeying with your sleep architecture. Definitely check that out. And yeah, hope you all have a great day, great night, great whatever, when you watch the replay. And so here's a question for you. Since we have a few of you on here, Jim D in the house. Jim is always here. Jim, so great that you're here. And Jim has a question. He says, Mike, what do you think about the new popular natural grass-fed animal supplements? Is there enough nutrients, or do we just need 2 cyclin or in more organ meats? Jim, amazing question. And this is, look, grass-fed organ supplements. So just so you know, Jim, I sold neonatal spleen. I sold liver. Back in 2006, from 2006 to 2010, I sold encapsulated organs. Okay. Accompanied Biotics Research. We might offer them in our Myoscience brand or just sell them directly on our website. I'm not really sure. I think it's good. I think supplementing with organ meats is good if you don't eat them. If you're one of these people, well, I got 2 things. If you're one of these people that are scared of eating heart because it tastes funny, or if you're like, I would eat kidney, but it tastes gross. I would eat liver, but it tastes gross. I would say you got to just man up, woman up, pony up, and just eat it and start eating these things because, in the dehydration process of the supplements, are you going to lose freshness? You're going to do this or that? I don't really know. It's probably better than nothing. I would say it's okay if you're traveling, if you know you're going to be gone. Like I'm going on this hunting trip and I'm going to be, eating food that my wife and I are dehydrating. But check it out. I'm bringing organ meats with me. So we're dehydrating liver. We're dehydrating bovine heart. So I'm going to have, some good CoQ10, some carnonutrients and all that. So I think there's a role for the supplements, someone who's pregnant, someone who has a taste aversion to organ meats and other things, but it's very hard to totally supplant what you can get from whole food in a supplement. And I'm saying that with full disclosure, I own a supplement company. I may soon sell grass-fed liver capsules and things like that, right? But I'm always going to be honest with you and think that you should prioritize whole real food first. I could probably sell a ton of more whey protein if I said every time you work out, you have to have this protein shake. But I'm like, look, man, I would rather you have grass-fed beef in the post-workout window. But if you're going to have a dessert, maybe do our collagen with grass-fed whey protein because it tastes amazing. You're covering that sweet craving, if you will, it's better than ice cream. And then you're still getting the good amino acids, right? So that's kind of my thing is like supplements, they can be super helpful, but I don't think everyone should stop eating grass-fed liver or tongue or beef heart or whatever and just start buying all these supplements. I think, the supplements for people, they're bridging, right? They're straddling. They're trying to figure out their lifestyle changes or accelerate healing in their body. And that's where supplements come in. So, Jim, I really appreciate the question. I appreciate you all being here. We have soccer tonight. My daughter and I, we're going to soccer here in about 10 minutes. So I got to head out, but I am so honored that you were here. I hope you enjoyed this video. This turned into a mix of, what autophagy is. Please don't be scared of exercise because exercise does enhance autophagy. Yes, it increases mTOR, but look, check this out. I'll leave you with this. Who do we have on here? Still got quite a few on. Check this out, right? So when you're fasting, even if you're doing like a 4-day fast, you're temporarily inhibiting autophagy through that, right? Because what you're doing is as you break down accumulated protein and aggregated proteins and intracellular organelles that are phagocytized through the autophagy process, guess what happens? You're temporarily increasing mTOR. So this idea that we should always be scared of mTOR, it's this constant dance between AMPK and mTOR and autophagy and mTOR inhibition and all that. So even if you do a fasted workout and you break down a lot of protein, for example, let's say you do a fasted, I don't know why you'd want to do this, a fasted 12-hour run. You're doing like some ultra event. Guess what? You're going to inhibit mTOR throughout that as you start to break down amino acids and those get released extracellularly. And so you need to understand there's this constant back and forth. And unfortunately, because this process is going on intracellularly, we can't measure it directly. We have to, use triangulation and say, well, if your glucose is here, if your ketones are there, if your liver enzymes are low, if your iron is low, there's a lot of things that we can kind of speculate about. But because autophagy is intracellular, that it's hard to measure. So, all right, we're going to go to soccer. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for being on live. Oh, by the way, next Wednesday, we're not going to have a live. I will be in Timbuktu, Idaho hunting. However, I'm bringing my camera. Where's my camera? It's around here somewhere. I'm going to bring my camera with me, and I'm going to share with you guys the journey, what we're eating, how we're stalking the mule deer, how we're sleeping, how my heart rate variability. I'm going to take my CBD oil with me. I'm pretty pumped. So I want to share with you all how to hunt. And I'm learning from Ryan Lampers and Brian Call. It's going to be really, really fun. So anyway, more on that later, but we're not going to have a live because it's going to be the first week of my life since 2006 where I've gone a week with no devices. I'm excited, but kind of scared. I don't know. Have you ever done a detox where you're like, you had no cell phone, no nothing? Anyway, hope you all have a great evening. We'll catch you soon. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Professor. Someone says, Sam, you're funny, man. All right, guys. Bye.